Hi everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9.
The Kansas Department of Transportation is keeping trucks out non-stop, trying to keep up with the winter weather. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
Plus some changes. Joplin warming shelters changes because of COVID-19.
High drama for day 2 of the former president's impeachment trial. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with the House managers presented during their first day of opening arguments.
Nick Kelly has weather tonight. Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan. I'll be ice and cold. The cold in particular going to get worse. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joins us now with our first look at the forecast. It is cold out there right now.
Yeah, and hit the nail right on the head further, Jordan. The high and lows for today. You didn't see much of a spread between the two. We started at 17 in Joplin and only topped out near 20 for this afternoon, far below the average low and the high for what would be a normal mid-February day. Winter weather advisories, though, have been slowly being trimmed back ever since the evening got underway. Now all we have is Berry and Benton counties until 6 a.m. with the winter weather advisories, all because the wave that brought us light freezing drizzle and light snow at times has pushed off to the east, the bulk of that moisture. Around here, though, we will see any remaining snow flurries try to linger, but everyone's just cloudy and cold for tonight. Everyone's sitting between mainly 14 and 20 degrees. I think we hold steady with those numbers, and maybe some of our northwestern communities could drop back near 10 tonight, but just plan on another cold day, maybe another weak disturbance with a few random flurries. Otherwise, we stay cold and cloudy with highs near 21. A lot to talk about, Jordan, and fall weather. We'll get to that in a bit.
Thank you. Nick Kelly, thank you. The winter weather is still presenting challenges to road crews across the 4 states. KOAM Zach Dodge spoke with KDOT. Zach has an update for Southeast Kansas.
Zach, we've been really busy.
Busy might be a bit of an understatement as KDOT works non-stop to keep state highways in Southeast Kansas free of ice.
We've had crews out pretty much 24/7 since Sunday. There was a little gap we got about 4:30 yesterday to about 8, but then we was back out.
Wayne Nelson, district superintendent with KDOT, explains there's been 27 trucks out spreading a mixture of salt and beet juice that entire time, equating to hundreds of tons of salt spread across Crawford, Cherokee, Labette, and Neosho counties.
I was just requested another 400 tons to fill up a salt dome in Neosho County. I was told that I need 400 tons to fill up one in Crawford County pretty soon. And I know I'm at about, probably 200 tons in Labette County. So we're at some pretty good tonnage.
So far, they haven't had any trouble restocking on those chemicals. A good thing since below freezing temperatures are likely to continue. So Nelson plans to keep a close eye on the roads and keep crews out as long as they need to keep motorists as safe as possible.
This is what we do. Our people have done this for a long time. They're very experienced in what they do. The main thing is to get out to the public. We just need to be careful when the conditions are like this, especially when they're really cold and you got moisture. Those two things are critical, moisture and cold. And if it gets too cold and too much moisture, you have big problems.
In Pittsburgh, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Nelson says if conditions don't get worse into the overnight hours, they're going to be able to take a break, a much needed break tonight. MoDOT crews are running all day and nights to keep those roads safe as well. They've been applying a sand and salt mixture to the roads. MoDOT crews are asking people to stay home if they can because MoDOT workers are trying their best to maintain those roads.
Try to be patient. It's a lot of miles that we cover, across the state. We're looking at anywhere from 34,000 across the state to ours. We have right around almost 6,500 to 7,000 miles of road that we try to cover.
MoDOT officials say they have enough supply right now to keep up with this weather. Right now, crews in Joplin say their main focus is treating those main roads. Residential streets are only treated if people call. The city is able to get a truck through easily.
A certain number of trucks available. You've got a certain number of manpower. So you try to do where 80% of your traffic is, and then the residents come out to those main roads.
Joplin workers also say they have enough treatment for the work ahead of them. Many area warming shelters are operating differently this year because of COVID-19. Souls Harbor is not allowing anyone in the main lobby, but people in need will be allowed still inside the chapel. on Main Street beginning at 7 p.m. if temperatures drop below 32 degrees. As we're seeing right there, the Salvation Army is also helping out.
It's hard to explain because, you know, it's something that we do, and we just take care of the people as they come in. We don't sit there and consider ourselves better than anybody else or not. We just get out there and help them.
Anyone who needs warmth and walks into city buildings like Joplin City Hall or the Joplin Public Library will not be kicked out. Day 2 of the impeachment trial of former President Trump in the Senate. House impeachment managers are laying out their case, arguing the former president is responsible for the attack on the Capitol, which took place on January 6th. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has the latest from Washington.
The House impeachment managers have begun their 16 hours to make their case. Their hope is to sway any undecided Republicans to convict.
To us, it may have felt like chaos and madness, but there was method in the madness that day.
On day 2 of former President Trump's impeachment trial, the House managers trying to prove the former commander-in-chief knew what his words would do, sowing doubt in the election and riling up his supporters, ultimately leading to the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
And when they heard his speech, they understood his words and what they meant because they had heard it before.
The managers played clips and read tweets from President Trump before and after November 3rd, claiming the election was rigged or stolen. They say the president's actions are not protected by the Constitution, and it was an attempt to overturn the election.
He truly made his base believe that the only way he could lose was if the election was rigged.
Once the managers are finished, President Trump's defense team will have their 16 hours. The former president was reportedly furious with his team's performance on Tuesday, but his attorney, Bruce Castor, says, quote, "That has not been communicated to me by the president." Mr. Trump's advisors are still confident the trial will end in an acquittal.
If the Democrats haven't been able to advance it so far, they're not going to do it going forward.
Whether or not there will be witnesses is still unknown. A vote on it would take place after both sides have finished their opening arguments and have faced questioning. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Chicago has reached a deal with the city's teachers union to return to the classroom. Chicago Teachers Union membership voted roughly 2/3 in favor of getting teachers and students back in class. Officials for the nation's third largest school district will implement a $100 million safety plan that includes thousands of classroom air filters. First wave of students is due back tomorrow, which includes pre-K, special education as well. More students in K through 8th grade will return over the coming weeks. No plans, however, are currently in place for high school students to get back into those classrooms. Vaccination rates continue to climb, and new cases and hospitalizations, are on the decline as the biggest vaccination project in American history gathers steam. Fox News correspondent Aisha Husney has more now from Queens, New York.
Folks across the country are lining up to get vaccinated. About 43 million doses have already been used, covering around 3% of the population. And the pace is increasing thanks to vaccination centers like this one, opening Wednesday at Citi Field in Queens. The home of the New York Mets, now transformed into a vaccine mega site that will operate 24 hours a day until the outbreak is contained. This site was supposed to open last month, but officials had to push it back because of a vaccine shortage.
I have problems with the idea of expanding the pool of eligible people.
And it's still not clear when the country will achieve herd immunity. Dr. Anthony Fauci says that will happen when 70 to 85% of the population is vaccinated. But a new poll from the Associated Press shows about 1/3 of Americans are not planning to get the vaccine when they become eligible.
Concerns about the new vaccines are linked more to lack of experience or lack of knowledge.
Meanwhile, with cases and hospitalizations declining, more states are focusing on getting folks back to work. But there are still major concerns about the highly contagious new strains, prompting the CDC to update its guidance, now recommending wearing 2 masks.
Wearing a mask with a moldable nose wire, knotting the ear loops on your mask, or wearing a cloth mask over a procedure or disposable mask.
And here at Citi Field, officials say right now there are only about 200 doses available a day. In New York, Aisha Husney, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor one of our 4 state heroes. James Wary has served in the U.S. Army ever since 2002. Native of Pittsburgh, where he has been stationed in Iraq, he's now with the National Guard. And we are proud to thank James Wary. He is tonight's four-state hero. Nick is next with a complete look at the forecast. Plus, Missouri Southern introduces its next head football coach. Gonna have those details, some more stuff coming up in sports.
A lot to unpack in the next 3 minutes, so let's just dive right in. Another cloudy, gloomy day from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, the time-lapse outside of Seneca, Missouri, showing another wave passing through that brought in just light amounts of random snow flurries and light freezing drizzle that, as we expected, kept things at a glaze to just under 1/10 of an inch. So made roads tricky once again, but the winter weather advisories are being slowly trimmed back. Still in effect for Berry and Benton counties until 6 a.m., but again, the wave is already working through central and eastern parts of Missouri and taking the bulk of the moisture out of here with it. So we're just backing things down now to a lot of cloudy skies on the satellite radar composite and on the radar display here. Just any moisture trying to fall from the skies now might come down as random snow flurries in some spots throughout the course of the night. Cold, no doubt about it. 15 in Joplin, and I think that's the low we're going to hang around for much of the night. Feels like, too, with the northeast breeze at 12 miles per hour. Everyone gravitating between 15 and 20 right now, so no need for me to tell you again we have another cold night ahead of us, but at least our little light batch of light snow flurries and freezing drizzle pales in comparison to the ice storm ongoing across parts of the Ohio River Valley. They're going to see much more in the way of ice, which will lead to some numerous power outages out that way. At the surface, high pressure up north still in control with any semblance of warmer air still well to the south of us. In the upper levels, we have one upper low centered over Arizona that might bring in some energy in here tomorrow, maybe for a few more random snow flurries. But it's the low out in the Pacific that has a lot of people talking. So we're going to break this all down for you here right now, starting with the rest of the night and into your Thursday. We're just going to keep temperatures pretty much steady. Maybe our far northwestern counties dropping back near 10, but most of us hanging out around 15 degrees as we go through the night and into the start of your morning drive Thursday morning. Again, very weak upper level energy wants to pass on by again tomorrow. That'll keep clouds in the forecast. 19 at noon, highs near 21, and again throughout periods during the day, we could see some random snow flurries, but it is not looking like a big deal whatsoever. Friday, let's keep it mostly cloudy. Let's keep it dry. Maybe with one disturbance passing to our south and west, some snow chances early Saturday morning on the Kansas and Oklahoma side. I see us dry for much of the day on Saturday, though. Then comes that system out in the Pacific. It wants to bring in some snow chances Sunday and Monday. Now, a lot of people have been asking about this, so let's address where we stand right now, though. Accumulating snow certainly looks possible, but we are still 5 days out from this system, and the system isn't even onshore yet. Once we get it onshore, we'll get a much better idea of how this is going to track out, but it's still far too early to say how much snow is on the way. Well, just keep checking back often, rather, for changes to the forecast. You know, myself, Douglas, and Michael, will keep an eye on things as we go through the next several days. 21 Thursday, 20 Friday, 18 on Saturday, 14 for Valentine's Day. If we do see quite a bit of accumulating snow, though, it'll drop lows to numbers that we haven't seen since January 2014, Jordan, especially Tuesday morning with a low of 9 below zero.
Tomorrow will be the 4th snow day for many schools in the area. The thing about snow days is they're fun as long as you have snow.
I know we don't have much to show for it. Hopefully we can get some snow at some point.
Still, better to be safe than sorry, as we said yesterday. Nick,
absolutely.
See you in a little bit. Thank you so much. I heard about this next story earlier in our show, but more details here. Coming up, 2 better than 1.
Double masking can help protect your exposure to COVID-19. I'm William LaJeunesse with new details on a CDC report coming up.
We speak with
If you only wear one mask, you might want to consider doubling up. Today, the CDC released a new study suggesting 2 tightly fitted masks can provide more protection against COVID-19. Fox News correspondent William LaJeunesse is in Los Angeles with details on that report.
2 masks are better than 1. That's according to new research released Wednesday by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
In the study, wearing any type of mask performed significantly better than not wearing a mask. And well-fitting masks provided the greatest performance.
The agency conducted laboratory experiments to compare different mask-wearing methods. Researchers found one loose-fitting mask blocks only about 40% of infectious air particles, while 2 tightly fitted masks can block up to 95%. The study offers 2 options to significantly reduce exposure to COVID-19, either wearing a cloth mask over a surgical mask or knotting the ear loops of a surgical mask, then tucking in the extra material. The CDC also says there are new devices called mask fitters that can help create a snug fit.
The bottom line is this: masks work, and they work best when they have a good fit and are worn correctly.
This is the first time the CDC has provided guidance on double masking, but the concept isn't new. Some health experts recommended the method for weeks as new, more contagious strains of the virus spread across the U.S.
By double masking, you may be able to essentially provide a bit more of a denser obstacle course, if you will, for those viral particles.
2 things you shouldn't do when it comes to a mask. Don't wear 2 disposable masks, nor should you combine a KN95 mask with any other. In Los Angeles, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
Coming up, going to meet the deputy who saved the life of a woman right there after she had already made the decision to jump off a bridge. California Sheriff's deputy is being called a hero for saving a man who jumped off a bridge in California. Earlier I said woman, we're talking about a man here. A picture from the dramatic moment shows the deputy holding the man up with one arm as he dangles off the side of the bridge. Isn't that something? Fox's Melanie Townsend has more on this story.
In the early morning hours of February 8th, a frantic search began in Calaveras County. Just after midnight, several law enforcement agencies responded to a tip of a suicidal man who was threatening to jump off a bridge. 3 hours later, a car is spotted near the Parrots Ferry Bridge, with the driver nowhere to be seen.
I was just hoping that we weren't too late.
For several more hours, Corporal Andrew Long, a 5-year veteran with the Tuolumne County Sheriff's Office, joined his fellow deputies in a volunteer search and rescue team to find him. It wasn't until 10 in the morning that Corporal Long spotted and approached the man standing on a ledge of the Parrots Ferry Bridge.
I tried to get close to him. I tried to get him off the bridge, and it wasn't working. And during that conversation, I realized who he was, got to know the guy.
But things quickly escalated as the man began to jump.
He was probably 40 to 50 feet away from me, and so I had to sprint.
Corporal Long miraculously caught the man's left arm just before he plunged 150 feet into the icy waters below, pleading with him not to give up.
Asked him for his arm, reminded him that we all have a reason to live, and he has things to look forward to. I actually had a broken thumb that day.
With the help of a Calaveras County deputy and a rope system made by volunteers, Corporal Long was able to pull the man back to safety, who was then taken to a nearby mental health facility.
Just want to remind people we have a national suicide hotline, and then for veterans, there's a national crisis hotline. Great resources for people.
Corporal Long is also a former Navy corpsman and did one tour in Afghanistan in 2011. But despite his past and present heroic deeds, he maintains he's not a hero. Instead, he says,
I'm a first responder. This is first responders, fire, law enforcement, search and rescue, EMS. This is what we do. We are there for people's worst and their best days. We are here to help people.
Melanie Townsend, Fox 40 News.
We all have a reason to live, right? All right, coming up, Finland is also seeing wintry weather and snow, and an artist there turned the opportunity into an art piece. A giant drawing, so to speak, made from thousands of footsteps left in snow, has amazed Finnish residents near the capital, Helsinki. The complex geometric patterns in the snow have been combined to create what resembles huge snowflakes. Take a look at that. And was made by volunteers in snowshoes under the guidance of a local amateur artist. The drawing measures about 160 meters in diameter, and Finnish media say it could be the largest single drawing ever made in the Nordic country. And sadly, the artwork was designed to be short-lived, lasting only until the next snowfall or heavy winds erase all traces of the steps. So that's why video and photographs are important here to remember that beautiful piece of artwork. That's amazing. So detailed, too. All All right, 30 more minutes. News, weather, and sports coming away. Several residents in Miami, Oklahoma are encouraging city officials to take action after pets are left outside in the brutal cold. Plus, a historic look at the celebration of love on Valentine's Day.
Thought I got it.
Cold weather conditions in Miami raise concerns for pets, specifically one dog named Boomer. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has more.
Boomer has been the talk of the town. He gained his popularity on Facebook, where disturbed Miami residents posted their worry for the dog's well-being. Joe Honeycutt grew up in Miami. Although he no longer lives there, he is still active in the community and decided to take action online.
Well, I had been reading several posts that day that were related to this same dog, and I wanted to kind of get to the bottom of what was going on and see if there was any way that I could help influence the situation.
Joe says he used Facebook to reach Boomer's owner.
I decided to go onto the public website and make a post, and I reached out to the gentleman himself. And I had told him that there's such an importance to leaving your animals inside in the cold.
And this outrage from the community online is what caused police to get more involved. Miami Police Chief Thomas Anderson says they had a meeting with city officials after the dogs rise online.
The city manager, after receiving numerous complaints, wanted to make sure that the situation was controlled and the city's doing everything we can within the law to make sure this animal's, taken care of.
Anderson says they've known about the issue since November of last year. Boomer's actually gotten a lot better since then, and according to Anderson, gained 40 pounds. He says animal control is involved, which helped.
He's taking way better care of the animal than he was just a few months ago, and that's because our animal control has done a great job of working with him for the benefit of the animal.
Anderson clarifies that he's glad the community is looking out for these animals, but they know Boomer is doing better.
If you see an animal that is out, let's check on him. I know we've got numerous calls on this one, but we know this dog has improved and has everything he needs to have.
In Miami, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Chief Anderson says animal control is keeping close tabs on Boomer. With the low temperatures in the area, many people are turning to heat lamps and space heaters to keep warm. But are those things safe to actually use indoors? Well, the Joplin Fire Chief says yes, but there are some things to keep in mind. First, he says to follow the manufacturer instructions on how to operate it. Also, make sure there are no flammable items by it, like clothes or drapes. And as with any potential fire hazard, always keep an eye on it.
Make sure you're following the manufacturer's instructions. Keep those areas clear of combustibles. No clothes piled around space heaters. No stuffed animals piled around space heaters. If you're using a heat lamp, set it back away so it doesn't catch wood or straw or something like that on fire.
And when it comes to fireplaces, the fire chief says to get it checked every fall and, of course, keep it clean. Always remember to do that. It's not just state road crews treating ice. Area homeowners are buying up ice melt as fast as stores are able to stock it. Henkel's Ace Hardware, there in Webb City, says they keep making trips to their warehouse in Neosho because they sell out within an hour of it arriving.
People are using tons more than they normally have to, so I think we've sold twice as much in the last few days than we did all of last year.
Now, for the latest weather updates as well as school closings and road conditions, head over to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, the Joplin History and Mineral Museum gets into the Valentine's Day spirit. I like this. Many of you know I like history. The museum is posting historic Valentine's Day cards to their Facebook page. The cards are part of the Dorothea B. Hoover collection and contain hand-painted and handcrafted cards.
It's very exciting to be able to share something that mostly it's just that we get to see because it's behind doors. It's like in our archive, so it's nice to be able to share that with the public.
The museum says the cards are as old as the late 1800s to the 1960s. Many of them are still in good condition, as you can see right there, and have details like pop-ups and movable pieces. That's really cool. Minnesota authorities are searching for a motive in a fatal shooting that took place at a healthcare clinic yesterday. Police say the suspect has had multiple run-ins with law enforcement over the years. Fox News correspondent Garrett Tenney has more.
You heard a pop, a loud noise. It almost sounded like a snowmobile backfiring. And then from there, it was just a string of sirens.
People in Buffalo, Minnesota are reeling after a deadly shooting at a local health clinic. At least one person is dead and 4 others injured after 67-year-old Gregory Ulrich opened fire at the Alena Health Clinic Tuesday. Police say Ulrich had been known to authorities prior to the attack, and he had a history of being unhappy with health care he received in Buffalo.
The history that we have as a department with this individual makes it most likely that this incident was targeted at that facility or at someone within that facility.
The events unfolding Tuesday morning at the clinic some 40 miles northwest of Minneapolis. Police responded to calls of shots fired. They arrived on scene to find multiple victims and the suspect, who was taken into custody.
I just never thought it could happen here. It's crazy, like shocking almost.
While conducting a secondary search, police located a suspicious device in the clinic's lobby, as well as at a local motel where Ulrich had been staying. But an investigation is ongoing into a motive for the shooting. A former roommate of Ulrich says he held a grudge against the doctors in Buffalo.
They wouldn't give him painkillers anymore because he would abuse them. A month's painkiller would be gone in a week and a half.
Minnesota authorities say there's no indication Tuesday's shooting was domestic terrorism. In Chicago, I'm Garrett Tenney, Fox News.
A bit later, there's our microphone. A bit later, some out-of-this-world accomplishments.
3 spacecrafts make their way into Mars's orbit this month. I'm Benjamin Hall in London. I've got the details coming up.
Quite a bit to go over with our forecast, so we're just diving right in, starting with, as usual, the look from indigo sky throughout the day outside of Seneca, Missouri. A lot of cloudy skies. No surprise there. It's the way it's looked for the past several days now. But we did have another wave pass in with some light snow and light snow flurries out there, mixing in with some light freezing drizzle at times. Thankfully, those amounts stayed very minimal. And most of that action is off to the east of us now. Technically, there is still a winter weather advisory for Berry and Benton County until 6 a.m. as we head into our Thursday. Again, though, this wave already quickly working through central and eastern parts of Missouri, and that's taking the brunt of the moisture with it. I will say, though, even though it doesn't look like much on the satellite radar composite, if we crank the radar up, our local radar network, we still see some moisture up in the clouds, so that's probably resulting in still some straggling snow flurries out there. Not looking like a big deal as we head through the rest of the night ahead of us, but still, you don't need me to tell you it's cold once again. 15 in Joplin feels like 2 with that northeast breeze at 12 miles per hour. Everyone's pretty much in the same boat as temperatures, mainly between the middle and upper teens, maybe a few spots like Grove holding on to 20. But this is pretty much where temperatures are going to sit overall for much of the night ahead of us. While we had to deal with just light snow flurries, light snow, light freezing drizzle, that pales in comparison to the ice storm ongoing across parts of the Ohio River Valley. Goodness, I could see at least a half an inch of ice that could lead to numerous power outages with the way things are unfolding over there. But for us, though, high pressure at the surface still in control, keeping that Arctic cold air in place. While upstairs, the main upper low north of Minneapolis is still in control. We noticed a couple other upper lows. Try saying that every once. One coming out of Arizona, mainly passing to our south tomorrow. That could bring in just a few more random snow flurries. But the system coming out of the Pacific, a lot of you have been asking questions about that. So we're going to touch base on all this while I still have the next minute or so on the floor here. Starting with tonight, it's just cloudy. It's just cold. Everyone's staying mainly between 10 and, let's say, 17 degrees. I think areas around Joplin will bottom out and hold steady around 15, while northwestern counties could drop as low as 10 before we hit sunrise in the morning. Again, with a little upper-level energy tomorrow, we could see some random snow flurries at times, but not a big deal. 19 by noon, and if we're lucky, we can get highs near 21. Now let's look down the road. Friday, we're keeping it mostly cloudy, keeping it dry, but still cold with highs around 20. A quick system passing to our southwest might bring in some snow showers early on the Kansas and Oklahoma side, but for Saturday afternoon, we're looking dry. As we head towards Sunday and Monday, that's when the system of the Pacific wants to bring some snow chances our way. It's certainly looking like accumulating snow is possible, but it's still 4 or 5 days out. It's not even on shore yet. We've got plenty of time to watch this. Still far too early to say how much snow is on the way, but check back often. We will make changes to the forecast, and we'll get a better idea of what to expect with that system as we head toward Sunday and Monday of next week. In the meantime, 21 random flurries tomorrow, 20 on Friday, 18 on Saturday. But if we do catch in on the snow chances for Sunday and Monday, Jordan, we're talking about Highs around 10 early next week, and lows 9 below zero Tuesday morning. Numbers we haven't seen since January of 2014.
And especially dangerous with those temperatures.
Absolutely. You got to be extra careful with that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Nick Kelly, thank you so much. Hey, don't forget you can be the first to know about the day's weather with KOAM SkyWatch Weather app. You can get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store, also the Google Play Store if you have an Android phone. All you have to do, no matter what kind of phone you have, search for the KOAM SkyWatch Weather app. Coming up in sports, Missouri Southern introduces its next head football coach. ATIBA Bradley speaks for the first time as the leader of the program. Going to hear from him next.
Today is a big day for Missouri Southern football. Southern introduces ATIBA Bradley as its next head coach, a pick that means history for MSSU and a homecoming for Bradley. ATIBA Bradley made history on Wednesday afternoon.
Missouri Southern's new head football coach, ATIBA Bradley.
Bradley is the first black head coach in Missouri Southern history.
I think right now there's 5 black head coaches in Division II. I think there's 9 in all divisions, and so I don't take these opportunities lightly. You know, this is a big deal because, you know, I set the standard for a lot of kids looking up. No different than I looked up to a lot of athletes and coaches, you know, Herm Edwards, you know, some of those guys that came before me that kind of paved the way for me.
It's a homecoming for Bradley. He played for the Lions from 2002 to 2005 before beginning his coaching career at both the Division I and Division II levels.
When I was young with no kids, it was fun to travel. It was fun to kind of go to different universities and learn. But now as I get older, my kids are getting older, it's good to have them around friends, family, and have a little bit of a support net.
He had the personal qualities that I think will really build a great culture and a great program here at Missouri Southern. And then, of course, coming home. He has roots here as a native of Joplin, a Missouri Southern graduate, a former football player.
Bradley takes over a program that did not get on the field last fall and is 5-39 since 2016.
I'm not naive. It's not going to be easy. You know, this is a tough league. There's great competition, but you know, I'm excited to be back and get this thing turned.
Now that he's the guy, Bradley aims to help the Lions climb the MIAA, including the Crimson and Gold guys down the road.
I think that's the beauty of college athletics, is that we do get to play a team that is 20 minutes down the road. We see them in recruiting, we see them in the league, we see them a lot. And so I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to beat them. You know what I mean? That's part of, being here at Missouri Southern.
Bradley says he aims to have his coaching staff complete by next week. He does plan on having interim head coach Joe Battasso stay on his coaching staff. The basketball now, Mizzou up to number 10 in the nation on the road tonight against Ole Miss. Tigers not having a great night. They're down 71-51 with about 7 minutes to go. Ole Miss in this one shooting 62% from the floor. In the American, Wichita State on the road aiming for a 4th straight win against UCF. They had to work for it tonight, but the Shockers win at 61-60. Dexter Dennis, nice double-double, 16 points, 10 boards. Wichita State now 12-4 this season. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Iowa battles Michigan. Look closely and you'll see Matt Damon on Mars behind me. Look really closely, but pay attention here, okay? 2. 3 space missions are converging on Mars this month. The U.S., China, and United Arab Emirates are all sending spacecrafts into the red planet's orbits. Fox News correspondent Benjamin Hall has more.
February will be an unusually busy month on Mars. Chinese state media announcing the country's spacecraft swung into Mars's orbit on Wednesday after traveling nearly 300 million miles over 7 months. It's expected to land on the surface in the coming months. And if the attempt goes as planned, the probe will release a rover to study the planet's geological structure and look for signs of water. Just 1 day ago, another spacecraft entered the red planet's orbit, this one coming from the United Arab Emirates, which became the first Arab country to reach Mars. For nearly 2 years, the HOPE orbiter will gather information about the planet's atmosphere and weather.
We'll be getting understandings of the lower atmosphere and the upper atmosphere. We also have visible images of Mars, and at the same time we also measure the hydrogen and oxygen halo of Mars using ultraviolet.
And next week, the US will attempt to land another spacecraft on Mars. The mission marks NASA's 9th to the Red Planet. The rover will spend at least 2 years collecting samples and looking for past or present life. It was officially given the name the Perseverance last March.
Never be making history without perseverance. Perseverance and curiosity together are what exploration is all about.
The 3 different missions launched in July to benefit from the close proximity between the Earth and Mars, which occurs every 2 years. In London, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
All right, going to end our night with a look at Fox's new game show, Cherries Wild. Look closely and you'll see Matt Damon. No, I'm kidding. Fox is introducing a new game show called Cherries Wild, hosted by Jason Biggs. Fox's Action of Work and spoke with him about the series, his new gig as game show host, and his own pop culture trivia skills.
Let's play Cherries Wild.
Jason Biggs hosts Fox's new game show, Cherries Wild, with a few American Pie jokes included.
My wife pointed out to me earlier, she's like, between American Pie, orange is the new black, and now Cherries Wild, I've got a thing for fruit. I don't really know what that thing is.
This is something.
Biggs has always wanted to try the role of game show host.
I think it's a very specific skill set that when done right is really fun to watch. I'm not saying that I'm doing it right, but I always thought, hey, I'd love to get a crack at it.
Teams of 2 test pop culture trivia, play a 30-foot slot machine, and can win $250,000. As for Biggs' own trivia skills, he studies up.
I'm usually the one dropping the bombs in our family when it comes to sort of pop culture information. And I sort of ingest all of it via Twitter mostly, follow various, magazines and websites and so forth. I also have the New York Times and Washington Post in my timeline. I don't really click on them, but they're there.
Its premiere is February 14th. So why is this the ultimate Valentine's Day viewing?
I think there's so many people out there that have crushes on me, from when they were growing up with the American Pie movies. And, I just feel like what better way to give back to them than to let them, tune in to Cherries Wild on Fox, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central. It's like the ultimate Valentine's Day gift is Cherries Wild, hosted by Jason Biggs.
Give me a cherry!
Join Biggs Sunday on Cherries Wild here on Fox. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Biggs showing us how to be humble right there. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you with video of pandas playing in the snow in Belgium. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.